right. We're going to go ahead and get started. If I can have your attention. First of all, you folks back there. Now, Keith Jackson, you can't go back for another meal. These folks are still on meal number 1. You've lost some weight, haven't you? That's all right. Very good. Hey, we want to welcome everybody. I apologize. You know, Coach Bielema will tell you, first day of practice, you have a few turnovers, you make a few mistakes, and we've had a little bit of that today, a combination of being the first meeting. We've got a new executive director, and we have a massive turnout today. So I apologize for you folks that are still getting food back there. Just bear with us, and we apologize. And we'll be back in this facility in November, and we'll have this worked out, I'll promise you. As Coach Bielema said, we'll get this worked out. We'll get it ready for November 10th, and wait till you hear who's coming on November 10th. Welcome to the 2014 kickoff meeting with Coach Bielema. Looking forward to hearing what he's got to say today. We have to do a little bit of club business first. Without further ado, let's get started with a word of prayer from the official chaplain of the Touchdown Club, Gary Underwood.
Thank you, David. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for such a beautiful day and opportunity to gather together. We thank you for the fellowship and the food. We just ask you to use us today in your service. In your name we pray, amen.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. You know, last year was our 10th anniversary. It was an unbelievable year. If you enjoyed last year's Touchdown Club season, let me hear a round of applause, because it was... I'll just throw out a few names. Roger Staubach, Drew Pearson, Gene Stallings, Charlie Waters, Cliff Harris, Dan Hampton, Tom Osborne, Lou Holtz, just to name a few. We also had some new awards last year, and Coach, I don't know if you had a chance. We announced a new Cliff Harris Award that goes to the top Defensive Player of the Year in small college. That's D2, D3, and an NAIA. That's over 500 schools. And that's, you see the trophy right here. If you wonder how big it is, if it's hard to tell. Our winner last year was Pierre Desir, a fine young man out of Lindenwood University. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for him. A great kid. He's about 6'2", 205. He was drafted in the 4th round by the Cleveland Browns, and great kid, came over in a boat from Haiti with his family. And so we're really pulling for him that he helps raise the awareness of the Cliff Harris Award. Coach, he was on ESPN Draft Academy along with Jadeveon Clowney last year. But really happy with that, and of course appreciate Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings for sponsoring that award. We'll mention more about that in a second. We also introduced the Dan Hampton Award. And Coach, you'll be glad to look that both of the Dan Hampton Awards, which goes to the top defensive linemen in college and high school, are playing on your defensive line. So it can go to any college defensive lineman in Arkansas, any high school. Trey Flowers, when Dan Hampton saw video of Trey Flowers, he said, one of the best strikers I have ever seen. And I said, he said, it reminded me of me a little bit. That's what he said. And for those of you who probably remember this, remember what Dan Hampton's number was? No, at Arkansas. The same number as Trey Flowers, number 86. So, Coach, he's really excited about watching Trey Flowers, and that was the best job by Coach Bielema in recruiting last year, is getting Trey to stick around, and we're excited about Bijan Jackson and his contributions as a freshman. Also, we had the Willie Rofe Award, which was presented to the top offensive lineman in high school and college. The top college lineman was Travis Swanson. We'll have that up here in a second. Of course, Coach, you knew what an outstanding career he had, and obviously he's trying to make it in the NFL as well. And Isaac Johnson, who is an offensive tackle who is going to Tulsa. He's from Springdale Harbor. Thought we might have that logo. No, we don't. Both those awards were sponsored by Wendy's, and I thought it was great to have them. And you can see the plaques. When we do plaques, Coach, we don't make them little. We make them where you walk in the room and you got to see them. You got to move furniture to see them. Also, last year we had our National Football Foundation Scholar Athlete of the Year, and it was Josh Liddell. And, Coach, we're really excited about submitting his name. We've done that for the National Award of the National Football Foundation, which Rex will talk about in a minute. Talk about a good kid from a good family, and he's already making some good plays as a freshman, and I think he's going to have a great career at Arkansas. Of course, we have the Paul Lills Award that goes to the young man who perseveres as a Razorback, and that went to Kiero Small, which I thought, what a great young man he is. And then, of course, we have the Sully Award, which goes to the best high school and college broadcast call of the year. And so, of course, you know Rex won the college one. A lot of pressure with Rex being right next to me every meeting. But for those of you who missed it, Pat, this is from OBU.
Seosin will come out of the shotgun. One running back to his left. He's going to be passing. Pumps, goes into the end zone. Intercepted, brought back 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Promised land! Promised land! 100 yards. Washington returns it for a touchdown. It is Devon Cousins, and the Tigers have a 2-possession lead. He took it, and he went all the way to the promised land, the land of milk and honey. What a play.
Rex Nelson, everybody. How about that? The land of milk and honey, something you would never think you would hear on a football broadcast for sure. So we're excited about maybe getting a new winner in high school and college for that. Steve Sullivan's in the background over at KTV. Nobody does play-by-play like Sully, and we're proud to honor him every year with that award. Also, we have a great lineup this year. Let's go over that real quick. Matt, if you could pop up the Touchdown Club lineup for the year. Many of you have that in front of you. Well, while he finds that, I'll go ahead and do it. Of course, we have Coach Bielema today. Next week we have Dave Wanstadt, who I think is about a year's coach that was up there watching practice. That's August 25th, former NFL head coach for the Dolphins and the Bears. Mark May comes to town September 2nd, the day after Labor Day. He loves coming to Arkansas. Another buddy of yours who thinks very highly of you, Coach. Mark May is on September 2nd. Then after that, Mike Singletary, NFL Hall of Famer, former Chicago Bear. Excited about hearing Mike Singletary. September 15th, Jeff Long will be here in Little Rock. Excited to have Jeff back again. After that, September 23rd, for the second, for the first time ever in the 10-year history of the club, we have a female speaker speaking to the Little Rock Touchdown Club. Go ahead, ladies, let's hear something. No pressure there. Charlotte Jones Anderson, who if you don't know much about Charlotte, she is sharp as a tack, Central grad, went to Stanford, just brilliant what she's doing with the Cowboys. Excited about having her back. Following her the following Monday, Coach Ed Orgeron will be here. We will have an interpreter at the head table to help with what he has to say. Following that, a guy who, if you're a Cowboy fan, you got to be here for this one. College Football Hall of Famer Leroy Jordan, one of the anchors of the great Cowboy teams, one of the greatest players of all time at Alabama. Excited about having him here on October 6th. The following week, Razorbacks coming to town against Georgia, so I thought it'd be great to have somebody who'd coached at Georgia. Jim Donnan will be here. I think he'll have some good insight to this Georgia team that Coach Bielema's going to whip here in Little Rock that following Saturday. Following that, a guy that you may not know much about now, but you will in time, Dari Noka, who will be almost pretty much the face of the SEC Network. Coach, I know you know him. Great young man. He's excited about coming here. He will be here on October 20th. Coach Blake Anderson follows that. I like what he's doing at ASU. The 5th coach we've had from ASU in 5 years here. So I don't know who we're going to have next year, but I know Blake Anderson is this year. Excited about having him and what he's going to do at ASU. Rocket Ismail the following week. If you're a Cowboy fan, you remember Rocket. If you're a Notre Dame fan, you remember Rocket. One of the fastest players in his generation. Excited to have him. And then November 10th. I'm just making this announcement today. This hadn't even been released yet, so let me. The Southwest Conference Hall of Fame has allowed the state of Arkansas to have a couple inductions here in Arkansas to catch up. Right now, the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame is dominated by schools in Texas. Matter of fact, Arkansas only has 3 players in it, 3 people. Frank Broyles, John McDonald, and Nolan Richardson will go in this fall. So we've been allowed to have an induction here, and on November 10th, we're going to do it, and I get to announce the names for the first time today. It'll be announced officially this afternoon. In this building, all at the same time, if you're Razorback fans, you don't want to miss it. A guy who very rarely ever comes back, one of the greatest players in the history of the game of football, Lance Allworth, will be here. Following Lance, his quarterback, Billy Moore, will be here. One of the greatest linemen of all time at Arkansas, Lloyd Phillips, Outland Award winner, will be here. All-American and Green Bay Packer Leotis Harris will be in attendance. Clyde Scott, I know he's dealing with some illness, so I know his family will be here. Eddie Sutton will be here representing basketball. Sidney Moncrief will be here representing basketball. 2 of the great track athletes, Mike Conley and Melody Sy. All in one day here November 10th. Give a round of applause to the new inductees of the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. After that, we have Steve Campbell from UCA that will be joining us. He's a new coach at UCA. I like what I've heard from him. One of the great offensive linemen of all time at Arkansas, Sean Andrews, two-time All-American. He will speak. And then last year, of course, we had Lou Holtz at our awards banquet. This year, we had the playmaker, Michael Irvin. And so I think it's a diverse lineup, and we're excited about it. And I think, I don't know if it rivaled last year, but I think it's going to be extremely entertaining. We also will be ushering in a new award called the James Street Sportsmanship Award. The coach, he's a quarterback from Texas that beat us in the great shootout, in the big shootout. But he loved the Touchdown Club, gave his own money, showed up at his own dime to help us do, what we did here, came in for the big shootout movie. So Bruce James and his teammates in Texas made a donation to the Little Rock Touchdown Club in honor of James Street. So we're going to do something like no other Touchdown Club does, and that's honor somebody who's not even a native of this state, but grew to love and respect what Arkansas stood for. So I want to thank Bruce James, and excited about issuing that award to the top sportsmanship player in schools from Little Rock, just in Little Rock. If you will at this time, these are our board members. Will you please stand? And Coach, I'm sort of doing, Coach, last time you said, man, you're a fast talker. Remember you told me that? Well, did you hear Sully? I think you were awarded the Fast Talk Award at the SEC Media Days. So we're in good company. And I am a fast talker, and so I'm going to cover everything today as fast as I can, so we'll have time for you. Please, these founders and board members, please stand. Clint Albright, Bob Bomar, Wally Hall, Tommy Harkins, Bruce James, Andrew Metters, Scott Miller, Rex Nelson, Kenny O'Connor, David Parker, John Piron, Renato Jenkins-Byler, Ronald Davis, Judy Henry, Ann Jansen, Bill Jackson, B.J. Mack, Art Monroe, Nancy Monroe, Jim Rasco, Wes Sutton, Gary Underwood. Please stand. And this is your board and founding members of the Little Rock Touchdown Club. In a note of sadness today, a guy who always used to sit with Ann Jansen in the back of all of our Touchdown Club meetings, Bill Wilder passed away late last night, and that's Tommy Smith from 103.7 The Bus, his father. And he used to love to come in and sit in the back and talk with Ann and say hello, and he had his cowboy hat on. And some people ask me, I spend a lot of time doing things that don't make me any money. My accountant calls me stupid, but when I hear stories about guys like that, Coach, that come and get a thrill out of this, and there were people here at 10 o'clock today. Doors don't open until 11. That's my motivation, and I just wanted to say something about Bill and what a special guy he was, and our thoughts go out to Tommy and his family. And I'm so proud of you. You guys are really up to snuff with technology now. You've been going online to lrtouchdown.com and signing up and RSVP. Please continue to do that. And if you want to text somebody right now, if they can't be here, and of course we're packed, they can go to LR Touchdown right now, and they can watch Coach Bielema's speech here, because we're live streaming everything every year, just like we did last year. So make sure and take advantage of that. Also glad to have, Coach, in addition to this national award, the Cliff Harris Award, so proud to have the Brules Award that comes out of Little Rock, presented by Club 99 of the Rotary Club here in downtown Little Rock. Doing it, recognize Bill Booker, who is the president down here. Bill, thank you for being here. Jeff Hildebrand and Wanda Hoover back at the head table. They are the chairs for the Brules Award for Rotary. And Coach, we talk about there's been some great assistants. One of your assistants went on to be a finalist, Paul Christ, who's now the head coach at Pittsburgh. We think of last year, Pat Narduzzi, what a deserving guy. What a great job he did last year. Charlie Strong's at Texas, Jimbo Fisher. All these guys have come through Little Rock. So I'm proud of Club 99. I'm proud of we're able to do this in honor of Coach Brules and Coach Bielema. We're looking forward to honoring a finalist or a winner under you here before you leave. And so we're excited about that. And thank you, Downtown Rotary Club, for being a class act. You're one of the best organizations in the country. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause, if you will. All right, real quick, we're going to go over our sponsors, and then we'll get we'll let Rex say a few words, and we'll get Coach Bielema up here. Metropolitan Bank and Lunsford Bridges, who is here today, have been our sponsor for the last 8 years. Simmons Bank bought Metropolitan, and over the last summer, a lot of folks talked to me and met with me about being the presenting sponsor. There were a lot of great companies in this state. But in the end, we made the decision to go with Simmons Bank, and we're excited about it. We thought it was a great fit. It's an Arkansas bank. It's been around over 100 years, 1903, and George Macris is the president and really proud of what he stands for and everybody represented with Simmons. 30 branches in Central Arkansas, and I made the joke at the press conference announcing it. John Franklin Simmons, who opened Simmons Bank in 1903, his first day of deposits, $3,338.22. That won't pay for 8 of our speakers this year at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. So I think Dr. Simmons would be shocked at where we come. But I'm excited about Simmons. Nearby and neighborly, they're continuing that theme that Metropolitan had. Let's please welcome at this time George Macris from Simmons Bank.
Thanks, David. He just needed to catch his breath. I don't talk fast, but I don't say much either, so I won't be here very long. On behalf of Simmons Bank, David, I want to tell you how excited we are to be associated with the Touchdown Club. 8 years ago, my friend Lunsford Bridges had the vision to understand what you were going to make out of this club. And I have to tell you, we're awfully excited to carry on that legacy, and Lunsford, thank you very much. You know, David, you've made the transition from defense to offense very well because you are clearly the quarterback of this organization. You call the plays and make it happen, and we're proud to be associated with the Touchdown Club. Now, Coach, if I can digress just a minute, I want to thank you and your wife, Jen, for accepting the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I got to watch that. As you probably know, the quest for the results that we look for with regard to ALS is near and dear to the Simmons family. I watched the video, and I will have to say that at the end of that, if I recall, you had just dumped a bucket of ice on your wife's head. You had a big smile on your face. And I believe the phrase was, "That's awesome." Now, since you are a relatively newlywed, I'm just going to chalk that up to a rookie mistake. David, once again, thank you very much for allowing Simmons the opportunity to be involved with a great organization, and you can certainly count on our help. Thank you.
Now, normally he will not be wearing that all year. He tore his Achilles tendon, George did, so we give him the Toughness Award today for being able to get up here even with a torn Achilles tendon. And I know Tommy May's here. Where's Tommy? Let's give a round of applause for Tommy May, a longtime Hog supporter and Simmons Bank man. Tommy, great to have you here. So we're excited about having Simmons Bank, and I hope you take advantage of going by and meeting them and getting to know their bank and maybe doing business with them. I'm a proud customer. Also want to acknowledge the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Wally Hall has been with us since the beginning, all 11 years. Wally, thank you for all your years of support and being a founding board member. Tabitha Cunningham, as always, you're super to work with. Tabitha even jumped up here and helped today. She's a super person to work with. Another company, y'all, that's over 100 years old, if you combine the Democrat and the Gazette. So we're proud to have the Democrat Gazette as one of our sponsors. Glad to have back Crane Automotive. Larry Crane, thank you again. You've been supportive now, I guess, with us for the last 4 or 5 years. I don't know how Larry has the time to do anything. He's the largest automotive dealer in the state. 12 dealerships, 3 in Northwest Arkansas, 9 in Central Arkansas, added 2 more this year, employs over 600 Arkansans, and also operates 7 radio stations. So you're a busy guy, but I appreciate you, supporting sports and the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame, the Little Rock Touchdown Club, and also your son Chris Kane, Chris Bird, and Drew Dees. Thank you so much for Crane Automotive for being our sponsor. Also, Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, another company here in Arkansas that's been over 100 years old. So glad to have Judy Henry, who heads up their sports law division. Judy's only one of 7 females in the country that's NFL certified to sign professional athletes. And she just signed a guy by the name of, you may remember him, Joe Adams. Remember Joe? She just signed Joe onto a contract with the Houston Texans, and she's excited. She went and saw him practice this past week, and he's already doing well. And excited to have Judy and what they stand for at Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, and she was behind us 100% in their sponsorship of the Cliff Harris Award. And if you've got a big athlete that's getting ready to graduate from Arkansas or a small college in Arkansas, call Judy. She's got a big staff over there. They do a great job, and she's a first-class act. Where's Judy at? Thank you, Judy, for your support. It's been great to have you, and we couldn't have done the Cliff Harris Award without you. I also want to thank Wendy's and Nan Trammell. They sponsored the Dan Hampton and Willie Rofe Award. Nan is a big Dan Hampton fan, and certainly appreciate she put her money behind her mouth, and more ways than one with Wendy's as a sponsorship. As a sponsor. So thank you to Nan Trammell for being a sponsor. Also, Epic Health is back with us again. Arkansas Urology bought Epic Health. When it comes to dealing with anything that has to do with guys, you saw a packet in your chair today. They will give you a comprehensive, complete health check if you'll just call them and reach out to them. And that's one of the things I'd like to see us as a club do. So check out the pamphlet you have today before you leave. Mike Whitfield, where's Mike at? Scott Davis. Thank you for your sponsorship. Go by and see their clinics, guys. They're all over the country now, but glad to have Epic and Arkansas Urology. Dr. Tim Blankford, that's where I go. Thank you for being a sponsor. 103.7 The Buzz. Right now we're broadcasting live. Steve Johnson, our general manager. Justin Akery and Pat Bradley are broadcasting live. They had Coach Bielema on there a few minutes ago. When Coach Bielema comes up to speak, you'll be able, if you're driving around your car and can't get here, you'll be able to hear him. But thank you, Steve, for your support and having the Buzz involved. And, of course, that's where I work every morning from 6 to 10. So I'm proud. Of course, Wally's over there, too. And we have a great time on and I've even heard there's some enemies here in this crowd that we sometimes get on our show, but we won't recognize them, Coach. But thank you, 103.7 The Buzz. You know who I'm talking about. Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau. David Russell, thank you. We're proud to be here in Little Rock. Thank you, David. We're proud to be the Little Rock Touchdown Club. Thank you for your support, for sure. Thank you to you and Gretchen as well. Also, Twin City Limo. Where are you at, Greg Hatcher? Greg Hatcher, thank you. Dale Bennett, thank you. We like to pick up, I had a couple, I think it was, I don't know if it was Mike Singletary or Coach Wanstadt said, well, who's going to pick me up? I said, Coach, you're getting picked up in a limo. So, people go, wow, they do that in Little Rock. I said, yes, we do. That's how we roll. So thank you, Greg. Twin City Limo, glad to have them as a sponsor. And also, Cranford Johnson Robinson Wood, the oldest advertising agency in the state, is going to help us promote the Cliff Harris Award nationally. Wayne Woods, Shelby Woods, Richard McEwen. Where's Richard at? They have said, we're going to do this for you pro bono. For those of you from Saline County, no, I'm just joking. That means they'll do it for free. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Some of my best friends live in Saline County. But thank you for Cranford Johnson Robinson Woods and your help as well. We're excited about having your involvement. Real quick, I want to acknowledge a few more people, and we'll get started with the program. Matt Johnson Production. He's doing all of our AV stuff. Spent a lot of time. You can see we've got what they call gobos. Look at that. We're trying to raise the bar a little bit. We've got the little light show going on there and bought some equipment. And thank you, Matt Johnson, for the hard work you've done with our AV work. Dwayne Duncan, where's Dwayne? Been shooting photos for us, and you're going to see more pictures posted everywhere than ever before. If you don't, here's the deal. You'll get a flag in the NFL if you do this, but you'll keep your picture off Facebook if you just go to Dwayne. Like, that need to be on there. So if you see him taking a picture, just say, no, I don't want that going on there. But glad to have Dwayne Duncan snapping pictures for us. Also, we're raising the bar with our social media. RJ Hawk, where's RJ? RJ right now is tweeting out everything that's being said and talked about on Twitter, Facebook. You want to remind everybody, at LR Touchdown Club, hashtag LRTDC. So make sure and do that. Coach, I know you do a great job with social media, and we felt we needed to raise the bar, so RJ Hawk from The Buzz is doing that as well. Also, Wes Sutton is handling all of our awards. We've got so much, trophies and plaques. We've got somebody in charge of that. Jim Rasco, who normally does all of our introductions. Thank you, Jim, for doing that throughout the year. And we've got the best check-in ladies on the planet. If you're one of the ladies that helps us with check-in, please stand and let's recognize them. They put 750 people in this room today. Please stand in the back. Let's give them a round of applause. Stand up, girls. Come on. Oh, here they are over here to the right. And we have a new executive director. Kelly Lassane did a great job the past 8 years for us. And on short notice, we brought in a new person, Debbie Wyman, and she has hit the ground running. And nothing like your first meeting, you're having to have 750 people. Where is Debbie? Please, let's give her a great round of applause. She's doing a great job for us, Debbie Wyman. So, Coach, that's our team. I was talking to another guy who runs the Northwest Arkansas Touchdown Club the other day. And he looked at our lineup and he said, how in the world I mean, how do you afford all these guys? And I said, we've got great sponsors who pay a lot of money, and we have a big membership. And all of those of you who bought those $60 memberships, they add up. And it's a lot of pressure for me. Gone are the days where somebody will come in and charge $1,000. I'm talking to agents who are charging $10,000 and $8,000. But that's what you want. And that's what you've given me the ability to do. So, I thank you for putting together a team like this and supporting this and being here. And I hope the rest of the year, Coach, when our speakers come in, they say, man, that's the best touchdown club we've ever been to. And I'm proud of that. So I just want to thank you guys for being a great group and always putting out a great front. And I hope we continue to do this the rest of the year. This time, last year we became the host chapter of the National Football Foundation. And that allows us to be a 501c3, and we're also able to vote in the College Football Hall of Fame. And Rex Nelson is going to share just for a minute, some more information about the National Football Foundation that you may not be aware of. So let's give it up to Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. And welcome, everybody, to Season 11, hard to believe, of the Little Rock Touchdown Club. We are in a special, unusual place. I would say almost a sacred place today in this room. I want you to think about it a minute, because it's unlike anywhere else in Arkansas. Think about it. You'll be able to sit in this room for a couple of hours today and not hear a single Tom Cotton or Mark Pryor ad. So, politics-free zone. Something to be said for that. But this ad was approved by Rex Nelson. It is the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame. Like David said, we are now their official Arkansas chapter. The National Football Foundation was founded in 1947 by General Douglas MacArthur, who, of course, was born right here in Little Rock. Coach, if for some strange reason you ever have a great recruit that's an American history nerd, just feel free to drop that on him. Douglas MacArthur's from Arkansas, don't you? He didn't claim us later, but he's been dead long enough now, we'll claim him. So, also, the legendary Army coach, Red Blake, the immortal journalist Grantland Rice. What a group. They started this organization, which is a nonprofit educational organization that really promotes amateur football. We are one of 120 chapters. There are 12,000 members nationwide. And the College Hall of Fame, I hear it is spectacular. I can't wait to see it, is opening this week in Atlanta, in SEC country, by the way. They have a National Football Foundation Leadership Hall of Fame, Student Athlete Awards, high school showcases, an honor society, a faculty salute, a Scholar Athlete Alumni Association, and they award scholarships of more than $1.3 million each year for college and high school athletes. They also collaborate with the Football Writers Association of America, of which our own Wally Hall is a former national president, to release the Football Writers National Football Foundation Grantland Rice Super 16 poll each year. So we are proud to be the Arkansas chapter of the National Football Foundation. For many years, when Frank Broyles was the athletic director at the University of Arkansas, he would actually pay for members in that. He felt that Arkansas was underrepresented in the College Hall of Fame. We needed more voting members in the state. We had a strong chapter. Membership had dwindled off a little bit, and Jeff Long called David and said last year, will you be our Arkansas chapter? This is where you come in. As you probably know from checking in, there's a $60 first down membership, but for an extra $25, for $85 total, you can also be a member of the National Football Foundation, and that will make you eligible to vote each year for the College Football Hall of Fame. We need more Arkansas representation. We need more Arkansas players in the Hall of Fame. If you already did a $60 membership this week, you can come back to next week's meeting and simply ask for an upgrade. And if you wanted to pay $135, you not only get membership in the National Football Foundation, but the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. And I'll talk just a minute next week about the history of that great organization. Wally is the current president, and that would also make you eligible to vote on the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. So I do urge you to also join the National Football Foundation and also join the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame as we promote the sport of football, the great sport of football here in Arkansas. Each week when I do my recap during the regular season, I always say, get out and see a college football game this weekend. Well, guess what? There is a college football game this weekend. Junior colleges start a week before everybody else. So a quick ad right here. Arkansas Baptist College, which is one of the 11 colleges and universities I represent, has the only junior college program in the state. They will begin their 8th season of football. It all started back in 2007 at War Memorial Stadium, and they will play at War Memorial Stadium this Saturday night. Tickets are $10 against Georgia Prep Sports Academy. Kickoff is scheduled for 6 p.m. Please consider going out and supporting that program, and you get an early dose of college football this Saturday night at the Grand Old Lady War Memorial Stadium. Get out and see a college football game this weekend. I'll see you there. Thank you, everybody.
And speaking of memberships, on the other side of your the speaker lineup sheet gives the breakdown of all the memberships. So if you just came today and just bought lunch, I encourage you to look at this or go online or call Debbie and find out how you can join, because your memberships are very important. All of those in the 50-yard line, thank you. You paid, $275. Some of you paid that, plus voting in the Hall of Fame and college and Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame, $350. So thank you. And I have to say this too before I introduce Coach Bielema. Coach Bielema, the coach previous to Coach Bielema, did not make a commitment to come every year for the Touchdown Club. And that's fine. But I do want to say Coach Bielema doesn't have to come down here every year and do this. We do have to pay big chunks of money to a lot of people. Of course, Coach Bielema, you don't charge. And so that's a huge benefit to have this many people, a record-breaking crowd of 750 at least, and not have to pay. So, Coach, I thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the 50-yard line members. Let's give him a round of applause for that. Also here with the university, I know Sean Rochelle, the president of the Razorback Foundation. Sean, where are you at? I know you're here. Glad to have you here, Sean. Thank you. Todd Ross, I know, came and traveled with Coach Bielema. Todd, glad to have you. And Zach Higbee, always a pleasure to work with Zach, who sports information. I don't even think they call it sports information anymore. They call it just Superman, super media guy. But glad to have you here. Also, I guess I do want to recognize my girlfriend, who has to deal with me doing this kind of stuff all the time. Where's Chantel? Chantel, I love you. Thank you for putting up with all the things that I do where I don't spend time with you. Thank you. And she's even working today, so thank you back in the back. Give her a round of applause. How about that? That's one get out of the doghouse card I can use sometime, right? All right, it's time to introduce our coach. I did a lot of fast talking, but I felt we needed to cover all the bases. It's great to have Coach Bielema back down here in Little Rock to speak to the Touchdown Club. Everybody knows that, and he will tell you that last year didn't go the way he wanted it to go. But one thing I mentioned both on the Buzz and on Channel 7, one thing about Coach Bielema, he's super positive. He's going to continue to be positive with his kids. He's going to continue to believe he's doing the right thing, and I got to love and appreciate that. So with that being said, we've got him for 30 minutes. Let's give him a Little Rock Touchdown Club welcome. Head Razorback Coach Bret Bielema.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thought they snuck a band in the back. Fooled me for a moment. Absolutely great to be here in Little Rock and be back for my second event. A lot of things have been passed along about future speakers, and obviously my second. And if you don't get your money's worth today, we're all in trouble because, as I said, I got 0.0 coming here. So I don't know what these other jokers are getting, but I do think you got a great lineup. It's kind of fun for me. At the previous institution that I worked at, I was a coach that got an unbelievable break. I'd done a lot of good things, I think, as an assistant coach, but I got the job when I was actually 33 years old as a head coach. One of the challenges I had when I went to hire people, I didn't really know a lot of people. I went out and hired a bunch of coaches, really no friends or anything like that, but I was so young in my profession that I didn't know and hadn't grown up with a lot of people that I knew that I could take advantage of. Didn't know a lot of people in the media. They're just saying, who's this guy that got the job? And went on and had some success. And then during that time, I got to know a lot of coaches, got to know a lot of media personality. And one of the neat things that's been afforded to me to come to Arkansas is to have certain people come in and visit. Next speaker is Dave Wanstad. I remember the first time I met Dave Wannstedt. I was 24 years old. I was a linebacker coach at the University of Iowa. I grew up, don't get mad at me, I grew up a Bears fan, partly because Dan Hampton was on the Bears. I love defensive linemen, got a chance to watch him. That was during the era when they kind of made a run with Ditka. And so I'm all of a sudden at my first Bears mini camp in a little town in Wisconsin. They used to come, and he came out, and he had a cigar that at the time looked like it was 36 inches long. It was just this huge cigar, and I was watching film with Dave Wannstedt, and he's chewing a cigar, and I was thinking at the time, boy, if I'm ever head coach, I'm going to chew on a cigar. I ain't chewed on one damn cigar yet. I guess I left that out. But he came in last spring and talked to our team and gave a perspective, I think, as a former NFL head coach, as a former college head coach, just an unbelievable perspective. And I asked him to speak to the team. One of the things I get very reserved about is I want the message that I think our players need to hear to come out on a daily basis, but I get very cautious about hearing other speakers talk to my team. And I turned the floor over to Coach Wannstedt. And I turned it over on a Saturday morning during the spring, before a spring practice. And I tell you, for 15 minutes, you could have heard a pin drop talking in our room. He had those guys mesmerized, captured. He talked about a story basically about seeing through the fog and seeing where you need to get. I don't want to steal his thunder. But it was interesting. I asked our players to write certain things to see a perspective on goals that they have. I wanted our players, as they came into fall camp, to concentrate on 2 specific areas. I think when you're in a 4-week camp, if you try to concentrate on 5 things or 10 things, you're never going to get great at anything. I want them to concentrate on 2. And one of my players' goals was to see through the fog. And he happens to be a very, very good player that I had trouble reaching. And if I could loan that out to Coach Wannstedt, because I think this kid's going to have a hell of a year, I know I got one person. So whatever you're paying him, he deserves it. I think it's a really, really good thing. Dari Noka is going to come in. I'm sure you're starting to see a lot of Dari on the SEC network that has been launched. Dari and I got to know each other through the years. He came actually to a game and as a non-working ESPN reporter. He came with a group of buddies, came to my environment where I was working before and saw us win a game, and then came to my house for a little post celebration and had a great relationship. And just to show how the whole thing works, a year ago, before we started the season, ESPN calls me and said, "Hey, Coach, we'd love to have you on every Wednesday to talk about your program." And although I didn't share it with the outside world, I thought we were probably going to be in for a little bit of a season. I didn't think we were going to get a lot of pub and a lot of hype for our record, and I quickly agreed to it because one thing that I do is I really believe in the most exposure you can give for your program in a positive light, and the messages you can convene on a public forum as ESPN only benefits all of us if it's done the right way. So I quickly agreed under one condition, that the only person that could interview me was Dari Noka. That was something that we put in perspective. It was actually Zach's idea. We called him Superman, but athletic communications director, I said, if that's going to be okayable with ESPN, and it was actually one of the most positive things I could do every Wednesday to put a perspective on the recap of the season, especially when it got a little bumpy. And Dari's an excellent, excellent guy, going to be a great speaker. So a lot of great people coming at you. Mark May, we are good friends. It just depends on the week. It depends on what he says. Just to show how the whole world works, I'm sure a lot of you heard there's a lot been said about the Fiesta Bowl a couple years ago. Got in a little bit of trouble. One of those people that abuse their power with the Fiesta Bowl. Well, as coaches, we used to go to an event every spring. Every spring we go to it. I started going to it. It actually allowed me to broaden my horizons as a young head coach. I'd be around all these other head coaches and have a chance to sit and philosophize and do different events and sit around and break some brotherhood. And one of the first people that I got partnered with to golf with was Mark May. And at the time, could not stand him. Just one of those guys that just kind of talks about his glory days. He played at Pitt, you know, and he was a good player, and they won a national championship. You would have thought they won 6 by the way he talks all the time. But something said about playing 18 holes with someone to get to know him as a person, get to know him as a human being, and really became human with me. And even though we give a little bar back and forth, truly a great man. I think he'll be a lot of great things. So, David, I can't say enough about your organization here and Little Rock Touchdown Club. It's absolutely awesome to be here, and thank you for this turnout today. Absolutely awesome. Just a little bit about where we're at. It's kind of a fun time for me. We actually just finished our second week of practice, fall camp. We're on actually practice number 19. I'm going to hopefully bug out of here about 1 o'clock, get back. We got practice at 2:15. So I'll change into a pair of shorts and T-shirt and hit the practice field running. I was going to actually bring a player with me. I wanted to bring with me a guy that's been unbelievable since I came here, Martrell Spate, a young man here from North Little Rock. But just as we butted up against practice, I really believe as a player, kind of got to mentally prepare for practice, and heaven forbid if anything would go wrong, I didn't want it that weighing on my heart. But it's kind of fun for me to come over here and get a chance to be in Little Rock, something I didn't know a lot about till I came here. Every event when I come over here, whether it was our first signing day party, whether it's a coaches convention, whether it's coming here. My wife and I came over for a concert during the course of the summer. Come over here for different events with the university. You guys always do it great in numbers. And the more and more players we keep getting out of Little Rock, the better off we're going to be. We got a couple more again this year that I'm very excited to be a part of. And it's just a great example of what Little Rock is. One thing that I didn't know, I've never really shopped in Little Rock, right? So my wife gets a call. Justin Moore has become a good friend of mine. Justin lives just outside of town, and his wife Kate invites my wife Jen to come over and judge a beauty pageant on a Sunday at Pulaski Academy. And I'm like, well, how harmless can this be? Plus, I'm kind of busy in camp, kind of gets her out of my hair, you know, for a couple days. And so we, I'm sure this all stays in the room, I'm sure. But she's asking me questions. Where is Pulaski Academy? I don't really know. I just drive where the GPS tells me. You know, I fly over here most of the time. And so we bring her over, and, you know, she's trying to decide what she should do. She don't want to leave me for a couple days. I'm like, babe, I'm in camp. You'll be fine. I go, why don't you go? And she's going to drive back at 10 o'clock that night so that she can drive back. And I'm like, hey, I know that road. I'm like, I don't want you driving late at night. Please just stay the night. She's like, well, okay, that's great. Maybe I'll check out the shopping in Little Rock. And I said with caution, oh, okay, great. She came back 3 days later, all right? So I don't know what you all got going, but apparently it's all right. I know she even had to stop in Conway to shop. I mean, who stops in Conway to shop? But apparently my wife loved Little Rock, so everything's good in the Bielema household. It's a fun time for us. We actually will go into game prep on Wednesday. We've obviously been hitting Auburn for a long time, but what I thought I'd do is just share a little bit of my background, my history. I know I'm going to get into football here in a minute, but what's been really neat for me is, you know, in life, there's so many things that you learn as you go through life that you have no idea is going to apply later in life in such a strong way. A lot of you probably know I had relatives in Little Rock that used to come up every year for either Christmas or Thanksgiving. They'd always bring an Arkansas hat, you know, and I always thought that was the coolest thing, even though I didn't really know at the time what that meant. And I had a hog hat on, or somebody in my family got it, and kind of an early perspective on life. But we know when I was growing up on the farm, you know, the only thing I ever thought I was going to do was farm. Didn't really understand the game. You know, my brothers played football, my brothers wrestled, my brothers did different sports, so I just automatically did that. You kind of just do what your brothers do when you grow up in a small town. Not a lot of other things to do. So the part that I realize now, you know, when I was little, my dad always used to make us do everything. We never got to do the fun stuff. We never went to the mall on Saturdays. We didn't go to movies. I'd never been on vacation. I was born in the state of Illinois. I never left the state of Illinois until I went to college to go to the University of Iowa. Never went on vacation. We had one time when I left the state and I went to Minnesota for a hog fair, a pig fair in Minneapolis. I thought it was like going to Disney. It was absolutely awesome. I was so psyched that they had pigs in Minnesota. I couldn't believe it, you know. But the part that I didn't realize as I went through that whole process was different things I learned along the way that I apply every day to our kids now. You know, everybody wants to be, you know, everybody wants wins. I want wins, and I want them to be here today instead of tomorrow. But the part that I realized when I got here was there was a lot of work to do. And what I think about all the time is a year ago at this time, I wasn't going to come over here and brag to you about a building process. I was going to talk to you about what I felt we could accomplish. Whether we fell short of it or accomplish it, wherever it lies in between, I knew that I wasn't going to skip a step to get to where we wanted to be. I distinctly remember, and I pardon if anybody's ever heard this story, I distinctly remember my father giving us specific directions on how to build a fence. We were going to build a fence that was going to surround a whole group of pigs that we had, about 250 hogs that were getting ready for market. We had to build this fence, my brother and I. I think I was 10. My brother was probably 4 years old, maybe 14 years old, somewhere in there. So my dad laid out, he built the first row for us, showed us how to do it, and just simply, you know, great orders, dig the hole this deep, put the post in, and do this for every post. Perfect. Then you're going to apply the fence. You're going to put 6 horseshoe nails in every fence connected to that post that you just put in the ground. Well, it was an awesome idea when Dad and I and my brother were doing it, but when he wasn't around, we quickly found out if we didn't do 6, if we just did 4, it still looked the same. And he got done a little bit quicker because we did have a pond where we could do a little fishing, and I love to fish. Well, soon 4 became 2 because it was about a 2-week project, you know. We want to get done with this thing so we can move on to the next project. Well, we got this fence. It looks great. My dad's all excited about it, and we went and put a bunch of hogs in there on a Friday afternoon. We came back Saturday morning because the farm that we had was about 20 miles away from us. We came back, and when we went to unlock the gate that's 3 miles away from the place that we put the pin in, there was 3 pigs looking at us. I looked at my brother. I said, "What the hell did you do?" Tried to pass the buck. It didn't last too long. But the quick thing that I realized when we got there, and every one of those pigs was all over the place, had done a bunch of damage all over the place. I remember my dad and how furious he was, and I remember thinking to myself, if we had just listened to his directions and built it the way he said to build it, we wouldn't have had to do it again. And we did a bunch of extra work and had to do it all over again because we didn't do it the right way. And I think about that and that life I learned and the lessons I learned, then I go to walk on. You know, I wasn't a highly recruited kid, and I'm not trying to do it to pat myself on the back, but the one thing that I realized is I walked onto the campus at the University of Iowa. At the time, I was truly blessed to have a Frank Broyles protege, and the fact that Hayden Fry was our head coach, a guy that believed in hard work really mattered. I went to look at the depth chart, and there are 7 defensive ends listed. I wasn't one of them. There were 7 guys on the depth chart, and my name wasn't there. And I'm thinking to myself, what did I do? How did I do this? After the second practice, not only was I listed on the depth chart, all the better offensive linemen that we were going against on a daily basis, when they wanted to do extra work after practice, the only person they came up to talk to was me, because I knew I was going to work harder than everybody else. I was going to give them a little bit tougher look than they really wanted. And the best part I remember looking at is there was 2 guys that I couldn't stand that were heavily recruited that were in front of me, and every day at the end of practice, they laughed because they got to walk off the practice field when I went to work with those other people. They couldn't even put it together when I was staring at them in the face that it was a true compliment to stay after to get extra work. Needless to say, they didn't amount to much. And it again reinforced in my mind, once again, that hard work truly does matter. And if you do it the right way, the whole way, it'll pay off in the long run. Then I do this great thing. I have an unbelievable NFL career. 6 days. 6 days. 6 days I signed with the Seattle Seahawks. Kind of a dream come true, and I remember laying in my bed the night before our first practice. Just a little bit of a story to show you how country I was. You know, I had never flown on an airplane until I went and played football at the University of Iowa. Well, when you play football, they take care of all the logistics. All you do is get on the bus. Your luggage gets to your hotel room. You don't think about anything. Your locker is filled with all your gear that you need. You just pack it up and then you throw it on a little bag, and all of a sudden it appears. Well, the Seattle Seahawks signed me to a free agent contract, and we need a camp, so they're going to fly me out of what at the time is a little regional airport near Iowa City called Cedar Rapids. I got to connect through Minneapolis to fly to Seattle. So I check in Cedar Rapids and, you know, throw my bag and go up to the counter. It's the first time I've ever checked in on a commercial flight in my entire life. I'm 22 years old. And get on the plane, wait for it. We fly to Cedar Rapids, and right away I realized that there wasn't going to be like 10 flight attendants coming around giving us free Diet Cokes and orange juice and waters like there were on all of our other flights. The part I didn't put together is when we landed in Minneapolis, I went to baggage claim because I was going to go get my bag that I checked on. I thought you had to transfer it to the flight that I was going to Seattle. So I stand there and I wait for like 30, 40 minutes, and finally some security guy comes up to me. He goes, "Can I help you?" And I go, "Yeah, my bag hasn't come." He goes, "Where are you flying from?" I said, "Well, I flew out of Cedar Rapids. I'm heading to Seattle." He just looked at me. We're in Minneapolis having an Iowa football shirt. He was obviously a Golden Gopher fan. He just looked at me. He's like, "You dumb, you know what?" He goes, "Your bag's already headed to Seattle. You've already missed your flight." So now, year is 1992. There are no cell phones. I don't have a credit card. I don't have change. I have to call collect to the Seattle Seahawks. Imagine the great impression I said when I was waiting for my luggage. probably why they cut me 3 days later. But the fact is, you know, I went out there, thought I was going to chase my dreams, and to cut it to reality, I didn't have an ACL ligament. I never had an ACL when I played in college. I tore it my freshman year, and they rejected me on my physical. And I remember crying like a baby, just crying and crying and crying. Come back on the flight, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's when Hayden Fry offered me the opportunity to become a graduate assistant coach. And I remember sitting talking to Coach, and I said, Coach, I appreciate it. I said, but I never really thought about coaching. And he goes, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I have a marketing degree. I've interviewed with a couple financial planners, and that was a hot ticket in 1992, and obviously it's still a good thing, but I think I'm just going to enter the business world. And he's like, why would you want to do that? Said they got to wear a tie every day. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I do wear a tie. I don't like a tie. Dad always used to say, I go, why do we got to wear a tie to church? He says, well, church is for ties. So every night today, my wife said, you better put on a tie. I said, ain't church. But the part that was awesome at that time, Coach Fry sat there, and he just gave me this whole rationale about how we should try coaching. I was a captain for him, walk on, and had played well and all that stuff. And he said, why don't you give it a try? I remember after my third day, it was like late at night, and my defensive coordinator, a guy that I believed in, loved to death, had given me a project, and he had given it to me that afternoon. And I stayed until like 3 or 4 in the morning. Went home and slept for a couple hours, came back, and I had put it on his desk the night before, and he just like looked at me, and there was a volume of work. It was like 10 games he wanted me to watch, and back then there wasn't computers. You had to do it all by hand, and I kind of put it down on his desk, and he came in, and he comes over, and he looks at me, and he goes, who'd you get to help you do this? I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, how'd you get this done? And I'm like, well, you told me to do it. You didn't tell me when it had to be done by. I just thought you wanted it by tomorrow. And he went in and told my boss, Hayden Fry. And then it just kind of kept building. And a year later, when there was an opportunity for me to get an assistant job full-time, they didn't have any hesitation to name me as a full-time assistant coach at 24 years of age, which was unheard of. The great thing was, he said to me, he goes, you know, I got good news and bad news. I'm like, let's talk about the bad news. He goes, well, the bad news is we're going to be able to give you a car, but we're going to give you a Cutlass Supreme. I said, have you seen what I'm driving? I inherited that from my grandma, you know, and so I got a Cutlass Supreme, and he goes, I can only pay you $60,000. I was like, oh. I made $6,000 as a GA. Grew up in an environment where my mom and dad worked for everything we got, and this guy's offering me $60,000 at 24 years of age. I thought I was like a millionaire. And I think it's that perspective that always keeps in mind. I began to coach for him, and as an assistant coach, and I realized you could outwork other people. You can stay at work a little bit longer. You can do things a little bit better. You can be a little more efficient with your time and do things in a way that people know that you relate and care about them, and it's going to make a difference. Began to recruit and recruit and recruit, and realize the better you recruited, the better you played. I really do believe in the Kentucky Derby theory of coaching. You know, everybody does a nice little show about that little jockey for about a day, but they remember the horse forever. And I think that applies so much in our world of recruiting, because the greater we can recruit and the better we can find that right horse that fits our program, and always have the right jockeys available to make sure they go in the right direction, the better off we're going to be. And that kind of comes tenfold to my time previous to coming here to where we are now. I can assure you this, I'm a 3-9 coach. I get it. About fixing to change that in a very short fashion and get an opportunity. But I can guarantee you that there is not a staff, there is not a group of coaches, there is not a group of people that live in Fayetteville, Arkansas, that are more prepared to give this room and everybody in the state of Arkansas everything that they want. But we will not skip a step. I will not take a shortcut. I will not take a person that I don't believe will represent you in the right way. One of the greatest stats I saw the entire summer had nothing to do with X's and O's. They had nothing to do with wins and losses directly. Unfortunately, there's a young man in our conference that got in trouble. In the lovely internet that exists out there, I quickly saw someone flash the title of a screen of players that have been arrested are charged with something greater than a speeding ticket since the end of the last college football season. Every school in the SEC had a number of players listed except for one. Arkansas is at the bottom of the screen with 0. And that don't happen by chance. Now, guarantee you, I don't got 150 guys that are sitting in church on Saturday night holding hands. All right, that's not what I'm saying. But I do have a group of guys that know that if they do things that are going to be problematic for their future, they better think wisely, and they better think twice. Another great stat that I saw this summer that has nothing to do with X's and O's and has nothing to do with wins and losses directly. But we had a number of young men, basically the way the world of college football works, unlike when David and I went, you take summer school the entire summer. You do it to put you on a progression and a graduation so that you graduate on time. We had 260 grades this summer, 260 grades, whether it's a guy took 4 classes, some took 3, some took 2, some took 6. But there are 260 grades given out to football players this summer. 92 were A's and 84 were B's. Out of 260 grades. Can't remember the number of C's, but I remember the number of D's. There were 15 D's and there were 4 F's. And 4 of those F's were for guys that have expired and exhausted their eligibility, and the other 2 are a guy that doesn't on our team no more. So the guys that are on my roster right now understand that if you fail in a class, it's probably a good indicator you're going to fail for me as well. And those things, even though they don't show up daily on the reports and they're not as publicized and they're probably not going to guarantee anything from a prognosticator saying that we're going to get X number of wins, as a head coach who knows his business and knows how to win and knows how to do things the right way, I guarantee you that's a great indicator of what's to come. And it's going to come probably, in a due fashion when we exactly earn it. I talk all the time about the 5 edges of Arkansas. One of the things that I really believe in is you got to have a formula for success, whether you're a formula in banking, distributorships, whatever it is. If you're successful in life, usually you have a formula that's unwavering. It's a formula that you believe in and what it means. And it was awesome for me to begin to see things start to take place. But I threw up these 5 edges of Arkansas, and 3 of the first 5 have nothing to do with football talent. The very first thing is we're going to be mentally and physically tougher than our opponent. That's what I believe. You can just walk out on the field and that can happen. It has nothing to do with your athletic ability. It doesn't have anything to do with how fast you run. It doesn't have anything to do with how far you can jump. It's just you're going to be mentally and physically tougher than your opponent. And these 5 edges have everything to do with football. The second thing is we're going to play fast and through the whistle. You're going to play as fast as humanly possible for you, and we're going to play through the whistle. Not to the whistle. We're going to play through the whistle because I want to piss some people off. You know what I mean? I want to create an edge that they don't like playing us. And the third thing that I think is elementary to, the greater of everything is just play clean. By playing clean, I mean this. We're not going to have penalties before the ball is snapped. If I'm an offensive lineman and the ball is snapped and I'm straining like crazy to block Jadeveon Clowney and he's really good and I tug on that inside number and I get caught 1 out of 25 snaps, I can live with that. But if I jump off sides before the ball snapped, if I have 12 guys in the huddle, if I line off sides, or if I take too long to call a play, that's playing stupid. That's not clean. So playing clean has everything to do with your mental approach to the game. We're not going to give the ball away freely, and we're going to attack the ball as much as we possibly can on defense. That's what playing clean means. The fourth, and probably the most important from an X and O standpoint, is just the simple premises that we are going to win critical areas. Critical areas exist all over the football field. Football, is broken down in first, second, third, fourth down, but, third down is critical, fourth down is even more critical. Every kicking play is critical downs. Red zone is a critical area. 2-minute offense, 2-minute defense is a critical area. Red zone offense, red zone defense is a critical area. The possession after a turnover is a critical area. The first possession of an opening drive of an opening half is a big, big deal. So we're going to win those areas if we win those things. But the fifth thing that I love talking about, and the reason I made our guys, we had 2 practices yesterday. The morning practice was supposed to be 21 periods, and if they did everything right, we were going to have a nice practice in the afternoon, about 12 periods, which is about an hour and 15 minutes, and life was going to be good. Well, that morning practice wasn't what I feel we needed. So they didn't earn the right to have the practice they were going to get in the evening. So we made them come back and do that whole practice all over again in the evening at 8 o'clock at night. Because the NCAA says I can. During this time of the year, there's very few limits on how long you can be out there. So we came back and repeated the whole practice. It was like the most efficiently run, clean, played hard through the whistle, played fast, all that stuff. I said, this makes no sense, fellas, at the end of the day. I said, this morning we ran the exact same plays, and they executed it 100 times better in the evening, strictly because of their approach and their demeanor. And I said, now, because you've done that, now you've earned it. Our fifth edge that we talk about now is we earn everything. You know what? I mean, I've been on in fundraising. I know Sean Rochelle is the king of fundraising. My first example of fundraising 101, I was at the University of Iowa, and we used to take these cruises with all of our bigger donors. And you know, you'd meet these guys that are so successful in life, make a lot of money, and women and all these people that are successful. And I remember on this cruise, there was these people, and they were just complete cartoon characters. Just goofier than a $3 bill, just weird. Again, this all stays in the room. But I was like, I'm like, these people are odd. So I kind of trying to do some research. And how do you find out? How do you win his, how do you get his money? He won $40 million on Lotto. It was given to him. Didn't really earn it. A couple years later, they're not on the cruise no more because it's all gone. You earn everything in life that lasts for time, and I'm taking that same approach to our team. I'm very, very excited. I think there's going to be a number of players from Little Rock. I already mentioned Mr. Lydell, who's from Dollarway, down in Pine Bluff. A guy from Whitehall, Jeremy Sprinkle, had his unbelievable scrimmage. I was going to bring Martrell Spate, the young man out of North Little Rock who wants everything to do about Arkansas football. He had to go to school an extra semester in junior college just to be a Razorback. He could have went anywhere in the country a semester early, and he stayed because he wanted to be a Razorback. Hunter Henry, Grandma and Grandpa are here. I mean, those kids are all over the place. It was a great example, obviously, with ALS and all the recognition, everything is going. I knew we had a unique story right away because obviously one of our players, Adam Deacon, his brother was a great player here as well, lost their mother to ALS. One of the things that I believe gives us a chance to win football games, if you're standing there and the guy to your right and the guy to your left you care about, you love them, you're going to do something more just because you have that feeling for them. And that's exactly what Adam did to that room. He shared the story of his mother, and those guys were all going to give $5 out of their check to that thing. We had probably 20 kids come up to me immediately afterwards and said, Coach, I'm going to give my whole check to the ALS Challenge. I mean, just because they cared about their brother, they cared about the story. They all have a mother sitting at home, and they can't imagine it. So regardless of where you're at, wherever you're going, if everybody goes to the Auburn game that said they're going, since I met when I walked in the room, we're going to have a packed house. I can't say thank you enough for all that you do to help us and support us, not only just obviously games there. We're coming over here to play in Georgia. I'm so excited to have a team like Georgia come in here and have to feel the power of War Memorial and what it is. I think it's going to be an absolutely great environment. I'm very excited to be a part of these young men, and hopefully when you get to know them on a personal basis, beyond just the wins and losses, you're going to be very proud of them as well. Woo Pig, thank you very much. God bless.
Coach Bret Bielema, everybody. Great job, Coach. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Dave Wanstadt back at the Embassy Suites. Thank you for being here, everybody.